Luke loves his Pixel XL, but the issue with the original Pixel for me was that while I did end up using it for a couple of months, it was a bit of a one-trick pony, an expensive one at that. And a good camera, or even a great camera, is not enough for me. I need a phone that knows what I want, a phone that shares my interests, a phone that I can't wait to greet at the end of the day with a great big hug. Or, failing that, a little squeeze. I also need sponsors like Intel who keep this show going. CyberPower PC's lineup of gaming desktops feature Intel's 7th generation Core i7 processors. Check them out at the link below.
These are the top results.
Yeah. In some ways, Google launched two different sizes of the same phone. Both the Pixel 2 and the Pixel 2 XL feature basically the same internal specs, with the main difference being the amped up battery on the larger model to power the larger screen. And I was both surprised and pleased to find out during the October 4th event that both phones even get the same optical and electronic image stabilization and portrait mode camera features, a move that is much appreciated by those of us with both small hands and precious moments to capture. But pretty much any flagship Android phone these days has the same internal specs, including the Galaxy S8 that launched 6 months ago. So we have to look a little closer to see that while they are clearly related, they are also as different as I am from my siblings. They both still sport a rear-mounted fingerprint sensor, satisfyingly clicky lock buttons, a 12.2 megapixel single rear camera, and the partial glass-backed design that debuted on the original Pixel, but is somehow much more refined looking this time around. But then, when we flip them over, they're like nothing alike. It's almost like they were made by completely different contract manufacturers with different capabilities. So the Pixel 2 is lightweight with squared off edges, making it easy to handle, but a little chunky looking with larger top and bottom bezels to make room for stereo speakers and I guess the rest of the basically no compromises internals. The XL, by contrast, is the far more 2017 looking of the two devices. Little changes like the seamless transition from the body to the sexier curved glass and wider gamut, not to mention much higher resolution display, wouldn't really bother me as a Pixel 2 buyer, but the taller aspect ratio of the display makes the handling of the devices very different in day-to-day use. The Pixel puts less strain on your thumbs to reach the spacebar while you're typing, while the XL uses its extra screen height to compensate for the space lost to the on-screen buttons. By comparison, it also fits a lot more content on the screen at a time. Though it should be noted that both of them lose out to the Galaxy S8 and the Note 8 in this regard. And this affects media playback in a big way too. If you're a movie watcher, buy the XL2, period. Surprisingly, they both managed to pack similar and impressive sounding stereo front-facing speakers. Like seriously, HTC boom sound lovers, y'all got something to upgrade to, finally. But while 6-inch versus 5-inch doesn't sound like that big of a deal, the Pixel wastes far more of its screen real estate in ultra-wide content. So think about how much bigger a 50-inch TV looks compared to a 40-inch TV. That is the difference. On to day-to-day usability. Once I added a specifically compatible, though thankfully inexpensive, Type-C to 3.5mm adapter to my headphone pouch, the Pixel 2 and the 2 XL they're just a pleasure to use. Gone is the stress about incidental water splashes from last gen, and I gotta say, while I had no pressing desire for a squeezable phone,
how tall is Linus Sebastian?
I really like it as a super natural way to bring up the Google Assistant, to the point where I even found myself just using the Google Assistant a lot more than I have in the past. Now, you'll hit it by accident a fair bit at first, just trying to pick your phone up off the table or put it into your pocket, but the sensitivity has a wide adjustment range, so if you're not the kind of person whose voice saying, "Okay Google," would take about 3 minutes to capture and steal, "Okay Google, okay Google, okay Google," and you're comfortable with the reduced security of a voice recognition unlock, man, there are a lot of fast ways to get things done. Okay Google, assuming of course that what you want to get done isn't that complicated. The thing for me is that the more that these digital assistants can do, the more obvious it becomes what they cannot do. So I can open Google Docs, handy, but I can't then open a specific document or start dictating without touching my phone. I can search for Drive Badminton Center, and I can navigate there. But then I can't add a stop at an A&W on my way without touching my phone while I'm in the car. And it's stuff like this that makes the whole exercise feel a little pointless. I mean, no, not pointless, that's not fair, but definitely incomplete. I mean, I can see how folks who just want to perform discrete, singular tasks like turn off the light or play that song that I like would be really happy with the current state of things. But for some reason, a lot of what I end up wanting to do is going to result in me entering it manually at some point anyway. And if that's the case, it's usually faster to just do it myself correctly the first time, rather than relying on what is much better but still imperfect voice recognition. A perfect example is that it recorded this as imperfect instead of imperfect, and the screen turned off while I was finishing the recording because I've been talking for a minute. Sigh. And of course I meant sigh, not that sigh. The good news is that even if you don't give a crap about Google Assistant, Android Oreo has plenty to love. In no particular order, here are a few things that made my life better versus the iPhone 8 and the Galaxy S8. Upcoming events at the top of the home screen, super nice to have. Holding Task Switcher to run multiple apps on screen. Doesn't work with Netflix, boo. But with supported apps, it's faster, smoother, and more intuitive for multitaskers than ever before. Being able to snooze notifications is a godsend for busy people like me, so finally, there is a middle ground between dismissing them and forgetting about them, and having them just pile up. And better management of background app power usage makes the Pixel 2 behave very nicely for a phone with only a 2700 mAh battery. I have gripes still though. Google allows bootloader unlocking, but I shouldn't need to load a custom ROM to do something as simple as swapping the on-screen nav buttons. And this suggestion that I found on Reddit was even more annoying than reaching all the way over for back. And while we're at it, I capture, mark up, and send out a lot of screenshots. And stock Android screenshot management sucks compared to iOS 11 and third-party variants of Android. Bringing us to the camera. Even though it lacks a few shooting modes compared to its competitors, like 60 FPS 4K or ultra-high frame rate slow-mo, it's great. But, don't take my word for it, here's our resident camera guru, Brandon, to tell you guys how the front-facing camera is okay if you turn off the tier facial processing, and the back shooter is great, and you're gonna love it.
The front-facing camera is okay if you turn off the tier face retouching, and the rear camera is great.
That's it? I mean, could you do a follow-up video next week maybe, comparing the Pixel 2 to the iPhone 8 and the Note 8 or something?
I guess.
Okay, well great then. So, bottom line, should you buy? It's actually kind of hard to evaluate, especially the Pixel 2 XL, in the absence of its true competitor, the iPhone 10. But Squeeze changed the game a lot more for me than I thought, even if almost everything else about it, especially the absence of wireless charging, still feels like the Nexus to Pixel price hike was a bit of a kick in the balls. So I like the design much better than the super boring iPhone 8, but iOS 11 and 3D Touch are great. So is Face ID better than Squeeze and Google Assistant? How about the camera on the 10? These are all questions that need answers. Unless, of course, you're a diehard Android user and you were never gonna consider the dark side anyway. So for you guys, the Pixel 2 XL gets a strong recommendation, with the 2 just behind it due to its fat bezeled and last gen 16:9 screen. So yeah, you probably already knew this, but these are the Android phones to have right now, assuming of course that you're a great big baller. Speaking of being a great big baller, why not look like a baller with a Dbrand skin on your phone? Dbrand is your source for awesome vinyl skins, and they've got them for laptops, phones, tablets, consoles, controllers, and more. They use high quality, authentic, true textured 3M vinyl on every product, and their skins are cut with unrivaled precision. So use their configurator. See what your product's gonna look like. You could go with the Panda or the reverse Panda for your Pixel 2, even if you can't get one. And not only that, but you get a little bit of protection against incidental scuffs and scratches. They ship worldwide, they've got great customer service, and you can check them out at the link below. So thanks for watching, guys. If you disliked this video, you can hit that button, but if you liked it, hit like, get subscribed, maybe consider checking out where to buy the stuff we featured at the links in the video description. Also down there, we've got our merch store, which has cool shirts like this one, and our community forum, which you should totally join.